Greetings. This is Skyler Saunders seeing what's current. Now, we have to face one thing. Welcome, to the show. Everything's going great in their lives, and we're all here together. We're all in this together as one. That's not true. We're all individuals, and we choose to be together as a unit or a team. That's a fact. Okay, I am going to be going in on the credit card crisis that we are currently experiencing in the United States of America right now. For the first time ever, we have a nearly $1 trillion debt that needs to be paid as Americans. Americans who have credit have run up nearly $1 trillion, $986 billion is still on everyone's card. About $5,000 per card on average it is owed. That's what it equates to. That's the debt that Americans currently hold right now. So I want to explore this topic. I hope you get a good sense of what it means and understand what everything is going on with the credit cards. Do you have credit? Do you use credit? Do you have a high balance? Do you try to get it knocked down? I was very fortunate. I run up a high balance. I was going on trips. I went to, objectivist conferences. I went to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I went to uh, California and also Cleveland, Ohio. And I had a good time. I was using credit cards like crazy. That's what I was doing. And I fortunately, as a twist of fate, as they say, I was in an auto collision and Newport Beach. That's in California. That's why I was trying to remember. I was trying the hardest to remember. Newport Beach, California. That's where I went for OCON, we call them, Objectivist Conference. And it took me a while to realize that, I have an issue with my credit card. I was in probably the 600s, 650, 670, something like that. And I did not have the wherewithal to pay it down. It was just going to take months and months and years for that to get paid down and for my credit score to go up. Currently, I have a credit card score of 779, which is in some like Experian and TransUnion, that's excellent. But for my Navy Federal Credit Union, it's good. I think I'm 1 point off from being excellent. But I was fortunate because I was in a car collision. I crashed my truck. It flipped over to the side. I wasn't injured. Nobody else was injured in it. No fatalities, nothing like that. But I got my insurance came back and it was $15,000. So I took that $15,000 and whoop, went right into my credit card. That balance shot low and that credit score shot up. It was amazing. I did some amazing stuff. Salute to you, Scamp Diesel. Credit card companies are closing cards and credit lines right now. Also, that's very true. At this moment, while I'm speaking, while you're listening, credit card companies are shutting down different people and their credit cards and their credit lines of credit, and it's just a big mess. Even it's affecting every generation from boomers to zoomers. Generation Z is probably like they're at this point where they have a point. They're at a point where they don't know what they're doing. To be completely honest, it took me a while to get here, but they don't know. It's so true. Yes, Scamp Diesel. Once again, speaking truth, speaking facts. If you don't use it, you're gonna lose it. That you either use it or lose it. It's so true. Same thing happened to my father. My father had a card and they shut it down because he didn't use it. Now it's very weird. It's a tricky business that they have because they want you to use the credit card, but if you use it too much, then you get in trouble. But if you don't use it at all, they'll cut you off. So what are you to do? What are your options? You have to stay. I'm going to try to give solutions that I tried to research today, and some of it doesn't apply to everything I read today during my research hours. But I'm going to give you my estimation of what needs to happen to get this credit card debt down, not because of the American fabric, not because of the country as a whole, just for specific individuals who have credit cards. That's what I'm talking about, and that's what I mean to say. First and foremost, get rid of all controls and regulations in business. There should be no controls and regulations, only laws. And if the SEC is to mean anything, it should go after the fraudsters, the Bernie Madoffs of the world. We don't see too many headlines now for a Bernie Madoff. That's because the market is so robust. Despite all of our challenges, the American economy is still thriving in a sense because it is still going. We have our problems with the debt ceiling, and that's true. That's a fact. We have to get over that, but it's just politicizing. They're going back and forth because they're not on the same party on what to do. And Janet Yellen is probably one of the worst Federal Reserve chiefs ever. She doesn't have a clue. She doesn't know what to do with what it is, and she's a very smart woman. She went to, I think, an Ivy League university, but she doesn't know what to do. And that's another thing too. Laissez-faire capitalism, hands off. Get off of my stuff. Get out of the way, government. Ego, edging government out. And government is a wonderful tool. The government is a necessary good, not a necessary evil. It purports that we have a system where it protects individuals from fraud, from force, from violence. That's all government's supposed to be. It's a gun, not a nurse, not a mother, not a caretaker. It's a gun or a baton, a billy club. That's what government is for. And so I would say that all the credit card debt is because people make decisions, rational or irrational, and they come to a conclusion where they don't know whether they're going to use the credit card or not use the credit card. Currently, I have a balance that's not too bad. It's under the average, so I'm not mad. It's under the average amount. So there's a little hope for me, I guess you can say, rational hope, that I can still continue to go and use my card is amazing. The fact that it's still active, I'm still paying interest rates because of it, but it's not a problem. It's not something that I have to worry about. It's something that is coming down, and I should be at a good place by September. I'll let you know when I get there. If there was ever a time period for us to explore this, is because in government schools, I know you call them public schools, but in government schools, because they're backed by local, state, and federal funds as well. A lot of people don't really realize that, but federal dollars are funneled into public or government schools all across the country. So that's one thing that has to be made clear, that schools should be teaching. If you're a private school, they should be teaching. in a system where there's only private schools, they should have the choice or the option to teach the children about credit cards, about how to use what is debt, what is a debit, how to use your bank account. Salute to Junior 401. I appreciate the support. Now, in all that we have to talk about, just gonna say this: that we have to get one, rid of regulations and controls. Two, get government out of education, so there's private schools only, and if they choose to, they should be able to teach about credit. They should be able to teach you how to not be irrational in your decision making. They should teach you how to be citizens who and individuals who know what they're doing with their money. And like I said, I was very fortunate because I was in the 600s. It was going to take years to get to where I am right now. But thanks to the insurance company, it was taken care of. And credit is just that. It's especially helpful and great in emergencies. It's great in buying large items. And it's a beautiful system. A lot of people argue and say, oh, we shouldn't even have credit cards. You shouldn't be having credit. No, credit is a wonderful tool too. It allows you to purchase goods now and services now and pay for it later. That's a wonderful system. Beautiful. And this country is mired in debt, both nationally and individually. The credit card companies really could care less. I live in Delaware. Sometimes it's called the chemical capital of the world. Other times it's called the credit card capital of the world. That's a lot of alliteration, a lot of C's. But that's what it is. I mean, we have a lot of banks in downtown Wilmington. They represent everything that is supposed to be good and whole and great. They represent something that nobody has ever considered before, thousands of years ago. A banking system with instruments like credit default swaps, junk bonds, and a whole host of others. And let me know on that note, Michael Milken, hero, probably going to put him in my producer series. He introduced junk bonds in the early to mid 80s. And with that introduction came the ideas for telecommunications and the internet, and allowed it to be successful because there was enough money pumped into the market that allowed individuals to trade with great accuracy and exactitude. That's an amazing feat, and we should praise him for his goodness and his greatness. Now he's kind of mealy mouth about capitalism and talking about and there's nothing wrong with charities, but he's more focused on charitable actions than the actual business that he took part in. So, with credit, do you use your credit card or are you going to lose your credit card? I haven't used my credit card in weeks, but I'm still paying on it. I'm paying it down. I'm paying it down to the ground. I'm doing everything I can to understand what it really means to be a capitalist. And like I said, I work with Navy Federal Credit Union. The most they have the most assets as a credit union in any other field than any other credit union, and that should be taken into account. That should be said uh, going forward with the idealism of credit. We're just at the debts. It's not going to be like a seismic shift or a groundbreaking uh, revelation that we're going to have, the debt erased in a few years' time or a few decades' time or even a century. But we can start to build our way up. And we do that with the idea that we should be responsible, that we should be rational, that we should be selfish. Those are key points. That's what this is all about. Being a selfish, rational individual who knows what to do with their money. One thing I did learn, I was listening to the radio, and they said, you know, they, they were like, if your cash flow, if the money you're making, if your income doesn't match what you are spending, then you need to change that. And that seems like common sense. That seems like the obvious, like, oh, come on, duh. But in reality, we wouldn't have this near trillion dollar debt if people actually looked at the principles and the rational ideas and the morality of being in such a space. Now it's getting to a point where we have so many people that are mired and buried in debt up to their ears in debt. And why is that? Why are we so irrational or spin happy? It's a third point. We have to consider ourselves as producers first. I know you've heard of consumer advocates, consumer report. We're the producer advocates. That's my show. I'm plugging Saturdays and Sundays, 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Time. So I'm just saying, why do we have so many different outlets for the consumer and not the producer? When virtually every human being or anyone above age of 12 is a producer. Now it just depends on what you're producing. Are you in school? Are you producing homework? Are you producing essays? There could be a market for that one day. Who knows? We'll see. But if you're a worker or a boss or whatever you choose to be, whatever is in between, you're a producer. You're creating. You're making. You're building. You did build that. You did sweep those floors. You did punch that clock. You did sign a 99-year investment contract for a building. That's what you did. And no one else can claim that. You as an individual can say, okay, I did collaborate with people. I did do that. But you say, like from Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead, Howard Roark's character says, I don't build to have clients. I have clients in order to build. And if we took that same kind of mantra and that same idealism We could go far. So it's regulations and controls, schools, and being selfish. That's where we have to get to. That's the point where we have to understand ourselves. We have to get to a point where we have to know who we are and what we are. Consumers who mindlessly buy products and services for no reason. Is that who we are? Is that what we want to be? Credit cards are not the problem. They are the tool. Credit is not the problem. It's an instrument. The problem is when we don't realize what we're doing with our own finances. If we're in trouble with our finances and we're looking for a life raft or even a lifesaver, it's one of those little circle things they throw in the water, then we're going to be in trouble for the rest of our lives. I mean, I had a calamity that turned into a windfall for me personally, But I was very fortunate enough to get that money, to use it, to increase my score, to decrease my debt, and to be more precise. That's the key, to be precise, to not just go willy-nilly and going on about and forward and going back and back. No, go straight forward. Go on the path of righteousness. As an atheist, I say this. Do the right thing. And I'm not Spike Lee, but do the right thing. Understand what it means to be a complete human being, an individual who knows what they're talking about, what they're doing. Because a lot of people get that confused about government. Oh, they talk a good game, but they do nothing. Yeah, right. They do all the wrong, evil, twisted, backwards things. I'm still trying to find a spine in government. Where is that backbone, that strong confidence, that ability to say yes when you know you're right and no when you say something wrong? That's where we are. So the credit card companies are not evil. They're not the problem. They're not the issue. They're the ones that are actually proposing that we still be rational human beings. The credit card crisis is only a crisis because of thought or lack thereof. That's what we have to find. We have to find that fine line between reckless abandon and a rational set of ideals and principles. That's where we have to go. That's all we have to do anyway. That's what we have to do. That's what's so important. It's incumbent upon ourselves that we do these things, that we know who we are, that we know what to do with money. Because the government thinks that we're children or stupid or idiots. They treat or invalids. They treat us like we don't know what to do. We can't take care of ourselves. Oh, well, we got to do welfare and food stamps and Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. And that's the next point. Free up the economy. I talked about the regulations and controls, but free it up so more optimization of opportunity can arise. Make it something that's truly special, where there's more jobs than people. That's what capitalism is. We're not there. We're not a capitalist country. Sorry to say. Sorry to burst bubbles, but it's true. We're not a free country. We're a semi-free country. But for the most part, we have too many controls and regulations. And that's our problem. We have a problem in this country that says that, here's your credit cards, use them up, spend $50,000, $100,000 on them, and look at those interest rates. Look how they're 12%, 20%, 30%. And you're paying anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000 a month just on interest and the payment that's due. It's serious because we have fun. We have, we can go out and go to the mall and ball, get the new Jordans, get the new Yeezys. And we have fun. Oh, we got to get the sofa set. This sofa set is fire. It's great. It's good. It's on point. We got to get the sofa set. The sofa set is baller. It's drip. And it's like, how does this even happen? How does this even work? How do we get so enamored at material things? Which, another side note, material things are only spiritual things in the frozen mode. It came from the mind. Anything that's this MacBook, my Apple Watch, my mouse, they're all physical items that are in reality, but they started somewhere. Where did they start? In somebody's mind, in their thoughts. They had to design it. They had to use steam, science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. So it comes to a point where we're so built up on the idea of spin, 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 spin. When in reality, we have to make. Take that money that we made and use it for our own fortune, for our own good. That's the ideal. That is what is supposed to happen. If we don't take seriously our own finances, and this is not in the sense of anything mystical or faith-based, but we will be doomed. And in certain circumstances, our family members or our descendants or people that go behind us, if they predecease us, if we predecease them, they'll be in the same debt, they'll be in the same problem, they'll be in the same trouble for another generation, and another generation, and another generation. And it just keeps going on down the line. What is it? Please tell me. What is it about this American idea where we can get homes and cars and invest in portraits and landscapes based on credit? That's beautiful. We should be able to do that. They should be able to check us. Companies should be able to check our account, our credit scores in order to get a job at their discretion. Now, some people argue, well, I'm trying to get this job so I can pay down my credit card, That could be an argument. But at the same time, private companies can do whatever the hell they want in that regard, in that sense. They can't commit fraud or force. But they can use whatever instruments, whatever ideals they want. That's a fact. So when you have so many people in this country that continue to trudge through the credit card morass, you have to really take into account all the dollars that are spent lobbying for credit cards to go away. There are billions of dollars, trillions of dollars floating around in the market. And we're at the point where we're almost at that T mark in credit card debt. We're almost at the point where we can say that there is no one here that can state what it means to have credit. Just stop you random people on the street. Ask them, what is credit cards? What are credit cards? What is credit? See what they'll say. See what they'll open their mouth and babble and go on and on, or just shake their head and keep walking. But they got a credit card in their wallet right now. Couldn't explain what it means, but they know how to use it. Credit cards can be fun, like I said, but it's still serious business. You have to be great stewards over your finances. That is key. That is the main point. To be complete and utter rational, selfish people when it comes to credit cards. Because you could be eaten alive. You could be taking all the time you want in the world, trying to keep going, trying to be flashy, jiggy, icy, cool, drip. And then you wind up broke or in arrears continually, completely in debt, even more. And there's no way of getting out completely. And there are people that are doing both. They're paying down the debt, but at the same time, they're using their credit cards to get gas and groceries and clothing and other essentials. So what does that say? What does it say when you have people that don't have the wherewithal to be confident in knowing what they're doing with their credit cards? What does that say about America? What does that say about the wealthiest, noblest country in the history of humankind? We're not at a declared war right now. We're issuing different weapons and artillery and vehicles over to Ukraine, but we're not at war technically. We're not at war specifically in the general sense as well. We have the ability to take on what we know and what we can do and keep going and thriving and striving and trying to get to the American dream. And let me tell you something about the American dream. It's not the white picket fence. It's not the 2.5 kids. It's not the car in the driveway and the turkey in the oven. That could be somebody's dream, but that's not the wide swath of what it means for the individual. The individual says, if I want an apartment all by myself and maybe have a few girlfriends, and then I'll go over to their place, sometimes. And I can have my own automobile, high-end European car. It all means something. It all means that we have the opportunity to bring ourselves to that point where we know what we're doing. And we know how to do it. We can get out of debt. This is possible. That number doesn't have to balloon any further. We can get out of debt easily without any consternation or any anger or any upset feelings. We can do this. It is possible. when you have people that are trying to, do the double dutch, paying down their credit while using the credit to get items from stores and places that sells different things and services, it becomes a problem. It becomes an issue because most people don't know what to do with credit other than spend, 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 spend. And it just becomes issue after issue. And they wonder why. I'm not even going to blame anybody. I look at myself. I remember, this is not even credit. I was just using my debit card. I was buying up CDs. I must have at least 100 to 200 CDs. This is back in 2008. I was buying clothes. I bought an entertainment center. This is all my United States Marine Corps bucks. Everything I got from the Marines, I just spent it. From that period, I don't have a dime. I spent it all. I was on a TDLRL, temporary disabled retirement list. I was on this list for just a little while. And it came to my attention that I would be able to get paid and still have enough money left over for whatever discretionary income that I could use. So I used it. And I don't have a dime left of that money. I have money coming in from the government, from the United States Marine Corps, for my time period serving, and Social Security. Now what? Oh my God, what? Skyler is a hypocrite? What? He uses Social Security and the government to pay his bills? Yes, and I'm not a hypocrite. This is all in Ayn Rand's essay, The Question of Scholarships, where she details how if you, at this point, right now, as we have them, use those government funds and be against them at the same time. It seems like a paradox, but it's only because of the twisted way that government has set up our money system. So you're not a hypocrite. You're not, in a sense, paradoxical if you use money from the government. And you're against the welfare state. That's not hypocrisy. That's just pointing out the facts. And I earned every dollar that I'm getting today because of my time and served in the United States Marine Corps. That's what credit gets us. I mean, I remember, from the beginning, I started with, an FCU, Navy Federal Credit Union, and I continued with that plan. The first day, I think in the first few days or the first week, I signed up for a credit card. And I've been using it ever since. I haven't used it in the past few weeks, but because of my somewhat erratic and irrational behavior, I will admit, I did buy up and spend and spend and spend. So I'm not pointing fingers. If I am, it's not a knife hand. It's a knife hand. But if you point your fingers, you got 4 of them pointing back at you. So you got to be careful. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just giving pointers and showing you my mind and what should happen with this credit crisis. I'm giving you a sense of what should be, what this country can be. We already have such a full and thriving economic and business world. Fortune 500 companies flock to Delaware. Not literally. They send an email or a letter and they open up a P.O. box and they say they're registered in Delaware. So over 50% of the Fortune 500 companies are all registered in this state of Delaware. And that is because of the fact that this state is able to delineate or to to make sure of or to outline what it means to be greedy, selfish, rational, moral individuals. This state is specifically made for that. It's the most in the country, the entire nation, but it's the greatest. The greatest country is the United States of America. The greatest city in the world, New York City. The greatest state in this country is Delaware. Because that's all we do. We have nothing else to offer. There are no serious and significant attractions for mass appeal. There are enthusiasts and buffs, history buffs, enthusiasts for going to different places, different restaurants, visiting hotels. But that's all it's good for. That's all the state is good for. Producing, making, building. The chemical capital, AstraZeneca to DuPont. We're able to show the world that this is the little state that could. We're the second smallest state in area. First is Rhode Island. And that has more fame. Had a TV show, Providence. Has an Ivy League. Can't remember. It's either Brown or Dartmouth. Please correct me in the chat. I think it's Brown, though. But Delaware has no such thing. Has no Ivy Leagues. Has no amusement parks. Has no draw except maybe the beaches that are down on the coastline. I think it's Brown. But anyway, this credit issue, it's got to stop. And not just for the country. Like I said, it's for the individual. You don't want to be the one that's completely overwhelmed with debt. You don't want that hanging over your head every day you're going through. Even though it was fun buying, those True Religion jeans and buying, that convertible sports car. That was a lot of fun. But it can't be the main focus. It can't be any focus, really, until you have the wherewithal, until you have the funds that will suffice buying those items and not using credit willy-nilly just to spend. That's where we're headed. We're headed to a place where we're going to be so desolate and desperate and asking other countries for money, asking us to bail us out again because of the credit card crisis. First time in all of American history, this high. Nearly $1 trillion worth of debt. And that's with a T. And that rhymes with me because I'm totally committed to getting rid of this debt. Totally. Completely. Without regard, without any respect for any ideas that a credit card is supposed to be used just to consume. And that's the power of production and investment. You're able to invest and put in money that would not be reserved for anyone other than the individual. That's what's so important. That's what is the key. That's what is so crucial to this point. Once we realize just how important it is to be rational, selfish human beings, then we will see the groundswell. Then we will see a wellspring of hope and joy and happiness instead of being depressed because you don't have enough money to pay for this bill. You don't have enough money to pay down this debt. It's the pursuit of happiness in the declaration. Not happiness, but the pursuit. That's what you have to look at when it's credit cards. Doesn't grant you happiness. Having money does not grant happiness. Doing good work does. Doing work that you enjoy, that you love, that gives you passion and gives you emotions of goodness and happiness, that's happiness. That's what keeps you going. That's your fuel. That's your spiritual fuel to keep going with that idea. To keep going without any kind of breaks or any kind of blockades. No ceiling. You can go up and up and up and up and up. But we're not at that point yet. We're not there yet. We still have a ways to go. Obviously. With almost $1 trillion in debt? Are you kidding me? Come on. In Generation Z, everybody dumps on you. You're the Zoomers. You're spoiled. You got your iPads and your iPhones and your tablets over here, tablet over there, and your phone and this and that. And we look down upon you. I'm a millennial. I have respect for you. I'm Gen Y. Like WHY, question mark, they ask. Because the baby boomers and the X generation had us. And then we just turned into anyone else. And we look to you as the future, along with the alphas and the betas coming along, will be coming back in 2025. Oh, in the building, Mr. Houston, extraordinaire himself. Good evening, sir. Salute. I hope you are paying attention to what's going on, what I'm talking about with this credit card fiasco going on, what we have to do if we are to do anything, because it all comes down to the individual. This is just an aggregate. This is just a number that means that we're supposed to realize on our own what it means. It means what it means. Essentially, it's saying that we should be able to understand what is going on and what to do. Take online courses. Look at YouTube videos. It's probably hundreds, if not thousands, or maybe millions of different financial representatives that are giving tips and giving ideas in order to better secure your financial future. That's what it's all about. Let's get this money. Let's make this money and not worrying about other people interfering in our business. I'm going to say salute to Houston one more time and say what he has to say. What's crazy is there is no difference in credit card debt and student loans. I'm getting to that. I'm about to get to that. What's crazy is that he shortens it, MFs, billions that don't like them to come here. Facts on facts on facts from credit. Even though they're tightly related in some respects. Some people use their credit cards. Those who just use cash for student loans. It's still an issue. It's still a problem. Because you want to go to school, you want to get the education, you want to get money, but in order to get the money, it takes money. So you're going to be taking money from your funds, from your own personal account, and you're going to be handing them over to this institution who's going to be getting different endowments from investors and alumni It's crazy how we are set up like that. There should be no student loans for the government. There should be no FAFSA. None of that. You have to ask your question. This is the question you have to ask yourself about every government institution. Does it protect individual rights? It was cut and dry. That's as simple as it gets. To understand the fact that so many people don't get what it means to have a credit card because the banks aren't going to teach you. And that's the thing with student loans. You're trying to go to school. You want to be a finance professor. How are you going to be a finance professor when you owe $50, $60, $70,000 in student loans? All of that has to be paid off soon. There was a famous, newsworthy note about the Obamas, and they're millionaires, and they just got done paying off their student loans. Just got done. This is like 2014, 2015, something like that, when he was still president. That evil president. Student loans, because you went to an Ivy League school. Now you have to make sure you're making $1 million just to break even, or just to have just a little bit of money left over. It's where we are, folks. Sad to say, but it's true. That's where we are. We have the sensibility to be great. We have the sensibility to be wonderful. To be the ones that say that we're number one. We're the number one nation in the world. The sole superpower. So let's start acting like it. Let's start cleaning up our act. Let's start saying that we're going to pay down this debt, that we're going to continue on with facts and figures and truth. Because the closest thing you're going to get is a financial advisor at one of your financial institutions. And then they're going to go say to you, it's still up to you. I mean, they can speak as long as they want. They can spend hours and hours telling you what you should do, what you should do, you shouldn't do with your money. But it still comes down to you. You are the sole superpower of your wallet. You are the CEO. You're the chief executive officer, president, chairman, executive director, whatever you want to say, the top boss in all of this. And everything you've done, everything you've accomplished, you are the one and only superpower of what you do with your finances. So, with all the things that I've said, I just want to leave you with one of the key ideals, and that is to be completely capitalistic. Be a capitalist. Be someone who knows what it is to be free, to have your private property protected, and to know at all times how to best conduct yourselves in the realm of finance and money. Because no one's going to hold your hand, even your parents. Parents, sometimes, for the most part, try to impart as much wisdom and knowledge as they can into their children. But mommy and daddy can't do that all the time. Or Big Mama or Uncle Lou or whoever. They're not going to be able to be in the store with you when you're considering buying a $1,000 TV, or whether to get formula for your baby. You have to make those choices on your own. And that's part of one of the things that Ayn Rand always stressed, that it's a sacrifice if you want to go and get this TV and not pay for the formula. Because you have just enough money to buy the TV, but not enough money to buy the TV and the formula. But who's important? Who's the highest value in your life? You are. And because you have a child who is completely dependent upon you, that's where it comes into focus. That's where it comes into reality. You want to buy the formula for your baby ahead of the TV because you should value your own offspring more than you have the 1,000 channel television built in. So when you have enough money to have the credit card companies come after you and ask, like, hey, where's the money? We coming up. Is our come up? We coming to get that pay. We're the credit card company. What you going to do? We're trying to get money up in here. We're trying to get these billions and almost to a T, trillions. What you going to do about it? Are you going to sit back and wonder, oh, I'm not sure about myself. I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet. I don't know what I'm doing. What are you going to do about yourself? What are you going to do to make sure that you have everything that's going for you? Everything that's good? Everything that's noteworthy? What are you going to do? Are you going to make sure that we don't have controls and regulations? Are you going to make sure that the schools are privatized and have the option of creating systems and school curricula that include credit card knowledge? What is it that you're going to do? What is it that you're going to say? How are you going to explain yourself to your children when they ask why they can't have the new fresh Air Jordans because you have so much debt that you're wallowing in that it becomes an issue? I ask you. Now, I'm so grateful for the people that have talked in the chat, from Scamp Diesel to Houston to Junior 401. I appreciate all of your time and effort and listening to me speak. And make sure that you check my PayPal and Cash App and send this video to a friend or family member. I appreciate all of you who've been watching with me and be able to see what I am doing with my life. And I will see you again later. Take care.